welcome back to Light It Red. Today is our fall sports wrap-up day. It is getting to late November here, so we're going to sprinkle in some winter sports. But yeah, we have a couple of key talking points regarding fall sports today, and a couple other of noteworthy news events that have happened within the realm of NC State sports. I guess we'll start off with women's soccer, right? Because
sure, why not? Let's
to truly and genuinely wrap it up. So their season's over. They're the only fall sport whose season is officially over.
And they're the first one that ended.
Yes. So that makes it easier for us. We were talking a couple weeks ago on the podcast. We were like, yeah, like Tim Santoro, head coach, he's been here for so long. Like, it'd be really hard to pull the trigger and fire him after 2 bad seasons. Like, maybe he'd turn it around. But, maybe he might get fired. And then the next day.
November 8th, literally the next day.
The next day. So, and I think the podcast came out after he was fired.
Yeah,
too.
Because we recorded it we recorded it the 7th, and the podcast came out the 9th. So technically, if anyone was listening, they were like, he's already gone. But via technician, Santoro dismissed as NC State's women's soccer head coach. He was there for a while.
Wasn't it 13 years?
Yeah, since 2012. He had a record of 90, 108, and 33. His record in the ACC, though, was 28, 69, and 16. So 28 wins to 69 losses.
ACC is a tough conference.
It is.
And it's getting tougher. So,
but I mean, still, like that's kind of crazy. But he did have that stretch in between, like with 20, I'd say probably starting around 2016. Where they had 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances. They had 3 Sweet 16s between 2016 and 2019. And then after that, when 2020 kind of COVID, after that, I think it all kind of fell down and you were expecting another jump up. I feel like with some cases, it's like you have your recruiting group that you really love. You keep a lot of them, maybe get a transfer or 2, get your seniors. That's your peak for 2 years. And then you got to go back down into the well sometimes, and it's almost like a wave, and he just never, after that dip, after 2019, he just never got up. Maybe it would have happened, maybe it wouldn't have, I don't know, but they decided to move on.
Yeah, I have so this is an anonymous source, but I two anonymous sources.
Interesting, okay.
Are both glad players, 2 anonymous players. Are both glad that he's
they're glad he's gone?
Yeah.
2 anonymous
glad he's gone, and I think one of the other players was like, yeah, he had to go. So
I wonder what that was about then. I wonder what broke the camel's back. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did they explain anything after that?
I didn't ask questions because I wasn't trying to be like an investigative journalist on them.
Oh, you should have, dude. That'd have been so funny. Maybe you could have uncovered like a crazy thing and then leaked it. What if something crazy happened and why they fired him? I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I really don't know if there was much more to it than, he just wasn't a good coach.
Probably, yeah.
Like, I think, I don't know. When I came here to go to school my sophomore year in 2022, they were one of the more highly regarded programs, and people like technician beat for women's soccer. He was like, yeah, like they're really good, and they were shit the whole time I was here.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, unfortunately, just kind of the way it happens when you go to school there. You never know what's going to be the case. But I think the biggest thing, this is why I brought it up, because I was a little more like, I feel like he's going to get fired, but you never know. And it was because while you do have, peaks and valleys, it was the past 2 years were the worst 2 years that NC State's had under him. So I think if they weren't that bad, like second to worst / worst in the ACC for 2 years in a row bad, this probably wouldn't have happened. But I think because it was the worst they've ever been under him, 2 years in a row, that's probably why they thought it was good to part ways. And I guess if you're mentioning the players, maybe there was some kind of other, maybe not direct influence, but maybe just if they're thinking about, hey, maybe we should do this, and maybe they ask the players, and if they're not totally saying no, we need to keep him, then it's probably better to move on if your sources are correct.
Yeah. Growing up, I played soccer, and so it's hard to look at it and be like, oh man, this coach sucks, because it's just like, as viewers and as media, we see it and we're like, okay, this is the performance. Like, we don't really know about the interpersonal things, but the reality of it is those coaches interact with those players every day, and so those players are like totally entitled to have an opinion on the coach, their personality, their coaching style. And yeah, both this coach for women's soccer and men's soccer coach last year both apparently sucked.
For men's?
Yes. Yeah. Why, are you shocked?
Wait, did the players... Wait, do you mean the one that was fired?
They were both fired.
Who, men's?
Both,
last year, right?
The men's from last year, and they brought in Mark Hubbard.
Yeah. Sorry. I was thinking of this year. I'm like, this year's guy seems pretty good. Okay, last year. Yeah,
last year's coach apparently,
was not good either.
No.
Which now, we went to soccer games last year. I went to two. I think I went to one with you. We went to one this year. So I've talked with both of these coaches, for men's at least. And if you're bringing up how men's, you said, was also not good based on the players, like, I could totally get that. Like, when I interviewed him, it seemed like seemed like a good guy. I've said this a lot, but he didn't. You'd ask him a question about like a strategic thing, what happened, and they talk about like, I just want to be there for their future or whatever.
Like coach talk.
Yeah, and it's like, this is great when you're like winning, not when you're when you're losing. It's the worst I think you can say, because it almost seems like there's not a lot of accountability and you're not taking it as serious, and it didn't come off very well when you're losing. So
I wonder if that's what he was saying to the players as well.
That's probably what it is, and I'm sure the players were like, "Hey, I like that, but dude, we're ass. Like, I don't I want to be good. I want to win. That's why I'm playing."
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, seems like last two coaches maybe, but I think men's got a pretty good one. So maybe women's does that as well. But just to piggyback, the last time. Women's, like I said, they made the round of 16 in 2019, 2018, and 2016 under him. But in terms of getting past that, in terms of getting to like the quarterfinals or the College Cup, or even making it or winning it or being a runner-up, they haven't even gotten past the round of 16 since 95. So while there has been, I guess, a little success there, I think, at least credit to him, he was able to have some extended stint in that 16 to 19 window, but that was about it. He technically made the tournament in 21, but they didn't do a ton in there. So I don't think he's a terrible coach, I guess, because he had success for sure, but seems like just couldn't really put it together this year and last year. So It's a tough business. Sometimes you gotta get let go earlier than expected, and maybe you thought you were building something and people think otherwise, and you got to go. But he was, I think, either the longest or tied for the longest tenured coach. I think he was the longest tenured coach in NC State women's soccer history. So,
yeah. Oh well.
Good luck.
It'll look different next year.
Good luck.
The whole team will look different next year. Hey, I had on my bingo sheet, I had coach fired. So.
Me too. I did as well. I'm gonna X that off. Coach fired. And we can get into the actual good soccer program, which is men's. And I had that they win by 3 or more points, which they have not done yet, but maybe they have the chance to do, because we have made the NCAA tournament. We were going to anyways, no matter what happened in the ACC tournament, but unfortunately the ACC tournament ended quickly. As we mentioned last episode, we lost to Virginia 2-1. So wish you could have won stuff there, but it's fine. We made the NCAA tournament in, I think, what was a very surprising and good bounce back year.
Great
definitely. Job with the first year coach. When I interviewed him, I thought he was way more straight to business, and I prefer that, to be honest. The game I went to was the best one. It was versus SMU, who was a top 10 team, I can't remember if they were top 5 or top 10.
I think they were 10.
10. And blew them out of the water at home. It was their best win in years, and that kind of, I think, is the reason that they got catapulted, whether it's momentum or resume. I think that's a big reason why they're in the tournament this year, at least one of the biggest ones. And they start off in the first game, they're going to be playing Charlotte. There's their first round opponent, the 49ers. In terms of them,
The 1949ers.
or the 19.
No, you're right. It's the 49ers, but not the Gold Rush. Did you know this?
No.
So, yeah.
You went to Charlotte, but
Yeah.
for those Griffin was at Charlotte, and then he came to NC State. You were there for 1 year?
Just 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. One great
Yeah.
freshman Charlotte year.
Yeah. So their mascot is a miner.
Yeah.
Like a gold miner.
Yeah.
Like with a pickaxe and everything. But they are called the 49ers because they were founded in 1949. The San Francisco 49ers.
Not like the San Francisco 49ers?
They are called the 49ers because of the 1849 Gold Rush.
With California, yeah.
Yes. Which is why it's in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Charlotte is 1949, so 100 years later.
Oh.
But they are also called the 49ers. And they also but their mascot is a miner.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense because that's not what it's based off of.
They just they tried to figure out a name, and they're like, sure, we got founded this year. Let's just use this and everything.
Yeah, but then they stole the San Francisco 49ers mascot.
Yeah.
Well, wait, I don't know what the 49ers mascot is.
I mean, kind of the same.
Probably something to do with the Gold Rush.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. Wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was because they just wanted to use that.
They're frauds.
Yeah.
They're frauds.
That's interesting.
Stone.
Dang.
And, yeah, I mean, technically they're a little bit better than us in men's soccer. But, well, actually, I was looking at this, and I'm not really sure why it's being hosted here because I'm pretty sure they're actually ranked above us. But
maybe
I'll take it.
I'm not sure. I cannot remember.
It's really cool
it's
that
very marginal if it is. But
yeah.
I think. I mean, they are 10th in the country in terms of goals against, so very good defense for Charlotte. But it helps being at home for sure. That's going to be huge. In terms of that game, like you said, I think they're probably a little bit better. We don't have any like top tier stats or anything. I think we're kind of just a pretty solid team.
Well,
we have a few
I would
breakouts.
say for
but
sure we had a harder schedule than they did.
Yeah, we did.
They
Absolutely.
play in the crap. What conference is Charlotte in?
American, right?
I think so. Is that the AAC?
American Athletic. I think they just call it the American now.
The
I
American?
guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's definitely going to be a lighter schedule. I mean, soccer is a little different. Like, obviously, I'm going off of what my perception of college football
Yeah,
is.
because I mean, so, some programs that you'd be like, "Wow, what are they?" And and you think about them in basketball or football, and in soccer, they're like a top tier or whatever.
That's true.
But ACC soccer is still very good.
Oh,
yeah. It's very women's and men's. It's very good.
I think that's a good point.
I think the biggest thing though is NC State men's soccer was 1, 2, and 3 on away games. They won 1, lost 2, tied 3. At home, they were 7, 2, and 2. So this being at home, I think, is huge. And if I were to guess, and honestly, I could go on a limb, I do feel like we win this game. I honestly think we do. Hopefully by a large margin. I hope we do. It's going to be harder, but I think with how we've looked at our home games against Louisville, who's a good team, we won at home. SMU, I just brought up. Virginia Tech was ranked 24th, and we tied 0-0, along with Stanford, who was number 2 in the country, and we tied 0-0. So clearly we have good defensive makeup, kind of similar to Charlotte. But I feel like Charlotte being 10th in the country in goals against, if they were playing maybe in the ACC, I don't think that'd be the case. So I think it's maybe more even than we think, and maybe we probably do have a slight edge just based on the team itself, plus being at home. I honestly do think we beat Charlotte there. So hopefully we do that. And then after that, it would be Georgetown, who is ranked 4 in the country.
They're already in the next round.
Yeah, they get a bye. So there's teams that are in the first round, the second round. These 16 teams, I believe, get a bye. Which, by the way, mentioning smaller colleges, teams that are also getting a bye include Missouri State, Marshall, Hofstra.
We played
Penn.
Hofstra.
Yeah.
Did we tie them?
Yeah. Hofstra, Penn, and Denver University. So yeah, soccer's a little different with who obviously is there and everything, and even other teams. You got Bucknell, Evansville, North Florida, LIU. I don't even know what college that is, to be honest.
Yes.
Iona,
Wait.
LIU?
Yeah, what would that stand for?
Louisiana
Institute. That would be.
I don't know. I don't know. LIU. Let's look it up. Long Island.
Long Island University.
That makes way more sense.
I feel like I've heard of that.
But Fordham is in there. Furman plays Carolina. We're in the same bracket or region as Carolina. So Carolina
And
plays
Furman.
Yeah, Carolina plays Furman. And
Remember
the
when
winner of
Furman
that,
beat Virginia in the
oh yeah, dude.
NCAA
I
tournament?
love that. You know, the guy that I don't know if you know, but in that game, I think the guy who, I can't remember if he hit the shot or got the assist, but either the guy who hit the shot or got the assist in that Furman game, and the guy who was on Virginia who had like the meme of him crying after the game or whatever, the Virginia guy went to Texas, and the other guy, I can't remember, I think he went to Texas Tech, and they played each other. And it was like
Nice.
years later, because I watched that game, and I was like, that's the guy who was on Virginia. And he was like, he was a forward. I forget his name, but he's from Raleigh.
Oh,
He's from Cary or Fuquay, I think. Fuquay, I can't remember. But
he's from Fuquay?
I can't remember where
That's
he's
where I'm
exactly
from.
from. I know. It's either Raleigh. Sometimes, they just bunch
Yeah.
Raleigh if it's there.
The
But
general Raleigh area.
yeah, but I'd have to look it up. But the guy who is the meme for crying after Virginia losing in that crazy, I don't know, if you don't remember, look up Furman versus Virginia NCAA tournament. Just insane.
It's men's basketball.
Yeah, men's basketball. Insane shot. Yeah, he's from like the Triangle area and everything. I remember. And they played each other, funny enough. But yeah, in men's soccer, Furman and North Carolina play. Winner of that plays Marshall. We play Charlotte. So North Carolina is getting a ton of stuff, at least the East Coast here, and we play Georgetown. And then the winner obviously would play each other, and then you'd go on to the next round, which would be kind of, we have no idea.
Yeah.
It'd be whoever.
So the cool thing about that bracket is we have a game at home, and then we'll play at Georgetown. But potentially in the third round, we get Carolina. That's going to be either in Chapel Hill or here.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And then I think either the next round or the round after is actually hosted at Wake Med Soccer Park.
It is?
In Cary, yeah.
Wow.
So big year for Wake Med because they hosted the ACC Cross Country
Mm-hmm.
Championships too. So yeah, they're actually the regional site of that round.
Wow.
I think it's the semifinals.
So I think if we can get past Georgetown, which is the biggest roadblock, to be honest, then that'd
We'd
be
have
good.
home field advantage in a neutral site technically.
Yeah. Which, do you know if this game against Georgetown is at Georgetown? If
I
we play them?
believe
if all
if
the
we
beginning
win,
stuff, I think.
I believe so. I think.
Okay.
I mean, they're a top seeded team. So.
Yeah. So Georgetown is not as reliant on home as we are, but they're pretty close. They are.
Hey, where is Georgetown?
Huh?
Where is Georgetown?
It's up northeast coast.
Anything more specific than that?
I'm pretty sure it's Pennsylvania, or no? Is it? I'm gonna sound so dumb. Why are you putting me on the spot? I'm not really this. I'm not
sorry.
this. I'm not this good. It's either DC or it's DC. Yeah, DC.
Okay.
I thought it was either Pennsylvania or DC. Yeah, it's DC. A lot of those schools up there sometimes.
Well, hey,
like
I
tell me
mean,
what like Purdue. I didn't know where Purdue was until they made
it's
the Final
in-
Four.
isn't it in Indiana?
Indiana, yeah. I just had no idea
knew
because I
that.
never paid attention or cared. Or
No, I mean, I'm glad I asked though, because like if you're a real Wolfpack fan,
go
then
up
you
to
could
DC.
go to DC. Like that's not super unrealistic.
No, go to DC for sure.
Go see these guys play, man.
But they're on a 3-game winning streak, and the game that they lost was to St. John's in overtime.
This is Georgetown.
Yeah, and
Okay.
after that, they've basically, I mean, technically, if you want to go through all their games, their last loss that wasn't in overtime was in September 28th. So against Akron, which Akron is in the tournament as well. So looks like the Big East is a good basketball conference. Georgetown is 6th in the country in goals against. So our two opponents that we might play are in the top 10 in goals against. Putting my predictor hat on and realism hat, if I were to guess, I'd say we beat Charlotte and unfortunately might lose to Georgetown because they seem like a better team. And that's just because it being on the road, which is unfortunate because we've struggled on the road. But if we can get over that and, we can, I mean, literally we only have one road win, which is why I say this because it's very, scary and doing all that. But we've had good road performances. We tied against Stanford, who was 2 in the country at the time. We tied against Virginia Tech, who was 24th in the country. we tied against Hofstra, which that was at home, but we played a lot of ranked teams. Our only road win is against William and Mary. So if we beat Georgetown on the road, it'd be unprecedented based on our schedule, but it's very possible. So
yeah, no ties in the playoffs.
No.
So it's
Gotta
make
beat
or
'em
break
out.
here. Yeah, man, I think it's so cool that we're hosting that because I knew that, like, I mean, kind of the direction we're going with the men's soccer stories with our print publication. We weren't really sure what we were going to be able to produce because I want to do a postseason story on the men's soccer team, but it's like we might not have visuals or quotes because they might be on the road.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're going to be here. So I think that's really cool. We've been kind of plugging them all year, honestly. Like, I know we talk more about football and even basketball, but men's soccer has been
More successful.
sneaky good
Yeah.
all year. And we're always like, yeah, go see them play. Yeah. Well, if you're going to go see them play, this is like really the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Go out to that Charlotte.
it's on Thursday, the 21st
Thursday. Okay.
at
yeah.
7 p.m.
I might
That-
I might go to that game.
That is the game. Like an NCAA playoff game. Like at home. We've only had, I mean, we got to experience that with the women's basketball team, but not everyone gets to, host tournament games like that. So, yeah, I'll be there. You'll be there.
Yeah. We'll go to that game.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly. Did you have anything else to say about men's soccer? Cool.
We don't know a lot about them, but
Well,
that's soccer, NC State, 20 minutes of it. So
Yep.
you want your soccer content, there you go. You got a lot because men's has been successful. So shout out to them.
True.
What's next on the agenda? What do you want to touch on?
We can talk a little bit about volleyball real quick because they're about to wrap their regular season up as well. I guess what I would say about volleyball is what the kids call is mid, right? Yeah. So
Dang, unfortunate.
is that dang?
I know it's just going into the year, or I guess nah. I kind of knew it would be that, I guess, because we were like, last year it was like, okay, you had so many high top tier moments, and then so many like, dude, what the heck? Like, come on, like bottom.
Their record was 22-7 last year.
Yeah, but which was
which
good.
is good.
Yeah,
Like-
but even then, you were like, dude, you beat Louisville, and then you lost sometimes and got obliterated by mid ACC teams. Like, if you just get more consistent, that was the thing. Like, you're looking good, and they returned, like we said, basically all their main people, and unfortunately, they just totally are down. They're 14-10 overall, 9-7 on the conference. Really reliant on home as well. Yeah, I mean, you can continue, but just really, really unfortunate. I don't think we've beat a ranked team yet either.
No, and I know we were talking about that a couple weeks ago because you had that on your bingo sheet, and it just didn't happen. Like Florida State and Miami, those were the two. Those are the best teams that we've played in a minute.
Georgetown, Louisville, we played earlier.
Yeah, but we lost
in October. We lost 3-0 in all of them.
Yeah, well, we won one set against Florida State, who are ranked 24th in the country.
The only team we've owned has been Wake Forest. We got him both times.
Well, we bodied them at home, but on the road we won 3-2, and we were actually down, I think 2-1 in that set. And actually, one of our photographers left after that. They're like down 2-1.
Really? They just dipped?
Yes.
That's
she didn't know it was
crazy.
best of 5. She thought it was best of 3. I thought that
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. She left after the third set
because
thinking
she didn't know.
NC State lost, but then they won the next 2 sets and won the game.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
No. And she was there to take photos too.
Oh, they went to the game and they thought it ended after they didn't know it was 3 sets.
Yeah,
to
went
win.
all the way to Winston-Salem.
Oh man, what?
I think she lives over there. Fortunately,
no, she does.
I think so.
Okay,
but yeah, that's kind of
still though. Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, after that it's SMU, on the 22nd, and Pitt on the 24th, Miami on the 27th, and then SMU again on the road on the 30th.
SMU we obviously haven't played. Pitt we haven't played either, but Miami we played and we lost 3-0.
Yeah.
So
that's our last home game of the season. It's on November 27th. I'll be there. But unfortunately, this just might not be the squad. I will say that they seem to have found this little like silver lining that I've seen on social media, and that is that they have a winning record against all North Carolina schools.
Yeah, Duke, Carolina, they beat
And-
both of those.
And Wake
Wake Forest they've
Forest.
owned. So at least they own the state, but
yeah. To me, honestly, that doesn't mean anything. Like
in the grand scheme, yeah.
it doesn't at all. Like I'm sure they'd rather have a winning they have a winning record, but like a lot better of a winning
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
I'd rather have that than just like, oh, like we own, and we did that on a would you rather. We did the would you rather thing. Would you win your rivalry games or win like the ACC championship?
Yeah.
You'd rather win the ACC championship.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I have for volleyball. I haven't looked at the cross country results yet, but I know that they just had the Southeast regionals. Did you look into that at all?
No, after they lost in Cary, after that I was kind of like, what? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? If you don't know, cross country for NC State for women's has been obviously amazing. Won like back to back, whatever titles nationally. Like, they've been insane. Lost their best runner, and normally they just kind of recoup and go back in, but they literally got fifth at a regional in Cary. So they hosted it and got fifth after being the defending national title.
Well, they had one. They had the first place finish was one of an NC.
Yeah,
was an NC
that's
State
right.
athlete.
Yeah, they did have a good fit, but then just totally as a team,
The team, yeah,
didn't do anything.
Hey, I will say, I saw that Sam Bush, she was one of the top runners last year. She's coming back in the spring. Like, she graduated and I think is coming back, which I don't know how that works.
Just for the spring?
For the track and field season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, like, I think she ran in some professional races. So, like, as far as the eligibility stuff is concerned, I don't know how that works. I thought that was, like, against the rules.
Maybe it's a COVID thing. Because we're kind of at the end of the COVID extra eligibility, whatever.
Yes.
Like, in 2025, I mean, you still have some people that have an injury designation and a COVID. Like, some people can do that. I mean, in football, it gets a little nuts. There's some guys, like, playing a 7th year of college football. But for other sports, like, this is kind of the end of the extra COVID stuff and everything. So maybe that's it. That'd be my only guess or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a special thing for people who graduated. I don't know.
I only saw it
like in the spring or who graduated in the winter and then like, oh, sure, you can finish the whole year or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just guessing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least it's something to look forward to with the track and field season. But yeah. Other than that, like NCAA championships for cross country, that happens on the 23rd, which is the end of this week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So we covered volleyball, cross country, men's soccer, women's soccer. Football.
The last fall sport.
Yeah. So this will be one of the last sports to conclude as well because there are 2 games left. But they're coming up real quick. So, yeah, we got Georgia Tech on Thursday and then Carolina next week. Or is that on Friday? Saturday?
Carolina is Saturday.
Saturday?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, so you'll be going to that one.
Yep. Final game of the year, which I went to the last game that we played previously because we had a bye week this past week, so the one before that, which was against Duke, and it was a 19-23 loss at home, being the last home game, meaning it's senior day, and it was Veterans Celebration, and it was the worst game they've played since Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not watch it.
It was the worst game they've played. The scoreboard might not show because you think of Clemson or something else. It was the worst game they've played since Tennessee. And that's weird to say because Duke was held to 0 for 9 on third down. Didn't get a single third down. They averaged barely over 1 yard per carry rushing. NC State had more time of possession. They only had 8 less yards of offense, and they lost by double digits.
So,
I mean, but I can say all those stats and still say they played terribly.
where was the game won then?
Red zone.
Okay.
Absolutely. Red zone.
So Duke just got in the red zone more?
No, NC State sucked
Okay.
in the red zone.
Got
They
it.
kicked 4 field goals in the red zone. And it was
converted
like,
all of them?
huh?
They converted all of them?
I think so, yeah. I don't
Okay.
think they missed one. But even if
Still.
they did, it wouldn't have even if they missed one or something, and it's what 22 to 19 or 29, it wouldn't have mattered because you didn't get a touchdown. But I think the thing was, I mean, our defense wasn't bad, but the coverage really got beat up. I mean,
Oh wait, no, I did see that. I did see that touchdown. That catch was crazy. Like
yeah,
the Duke
no, it
receiver,
was for sure. But
wasn't it on Aiden White?
I think so, which is why I've like meant to bring this up in the podcast a few times because he's been on my mind randomly. Because
You think about him?
yeah, because I
texted you about him, right?
yeah, and I was like going off because I do actually genuinely, when I think of NC State football, like I want to think about, since we follow the NFL, I want to think about players that are like who they think are going to go to the NFL, and Devin Van was like one of them this year. Obviously, last year it was awesome with Peyton Wilson, but he was on the Steelers and is playing really well.
Yeah.
So shout out to him.
That was cool.
But
interception.
And he got honored actually at this game as well. He literally was there. He came and was like hyping up the players and everything. And so really annoying game to lose. Like it sucked against Duke at home, like whatever. But Aiden White was like I looked it up, was a projected second to third round pick going into the year. I didn't feel that even last year. And I guess his big year was the year before that. So it's now been 2 years since he's had a really good year. And this year he has sucked. I'm straight. He's been every time I feel like I'm watching something, and it's a big deep catch or something, he's getting mossed, or he's getting beat, or he's getting out. Just literally the guy outruns him or has a better route, and I feel like he has just not been good at all. And I feel like they've put a lot of trust in him to be like the for sure CB1. He obviously has had good moments. Maybe saying terrible is a overstatement or a bit much, but I feel like there's been 5 different plays, and it's like, oh, this is a gigantic play, like this matters a lot, and it's a catch on him. Like, so the secondary was not good. The run defense and everything was good. Linebackers actually played pretty well, but offensively, like it's not like we would have these crazy plays to get down the field. I mean, I don't want to say that. I want to say it's not like our offense looked amazing and then got in the red zone and sucked, because there were some times where we just got, like Duke had like 80 yards of penalties. So sometimes we just get penalties to go up there, or it'd be a super long drive. But we had some crazy like triple option plays, like receivers throwing the ball. Like we had some really good plays, and then we get to the red zone and they wouldn't do anything. They just wouldn't. I mean, they would suck. And so we had 4 red zone trips and got 4 field goals. So that's why we lost. So it seems easy that if we got any of those, we would have won. But even then, the team itself, they just didn't play very well. And I think the one thing I brought up last episode was about keeping C.J. Bailey's performances in perspective in terms of who his opponents were while he was having these games. And I brought it up with obviously Stanford and Cal and all that. And then I was going around like, okay, this is the first real game of a defense. And it was against Duke. And it was the best defense he's faced, and it was the worst game he's had. Now, I'm not trying to shit on him, but I'm just saying, like, he wasn't horrendous, but he wasn't great. He had 2 turnovers, a pick, one fumble. He did have a touchdown, but they couldn't do anything in the red zone. And part of it was kind of him just not really. I mean, he would read one guy and then just try and run and panic. I saw that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think it's part of the reason why KC is not getting the ball. Because last year with Brennan Armstrong, it was a similar thing. It was look at KC or run. With Grayson, the plan was to be you can actually get progressions going through. And I think they installed that offense. And now that they have CJ in there, they had to throw that all away. And, they say that for rookie quarterbacks in the NFL, but you could say the same thing for freshmen in college. What's a quarterback's best friend? Tight end. And that's why Jolie is getting everything, because if something goes wrong, where's my tight end? He's big. Let me just throw it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like KC, it's hard to really get like, okay, here's the post route that you need to throw. Watch the safety coming in. Here's the slant you need to watch the linebacker. And I feel like, he's very talented. He just hasn't learned that yet because he's young. So
yeah.
I feel like that's part of the reason why also KC hasn't been getting going. And you want to get that guy going because he's still, I think, your best, explosive weapon. So again, don't want to crap on him, but it was an expected lower game and lower performance from him because it was his first real game. It's just I wish it would have been better because you were at home and you had a lot of backings there. I think at home saves a lot, and I feel like I wish we would have been a little better. I mean, he had one red zone trip that was good. It was like a 4th down at the end of the game to bring it within one score. And he had this, it was more so a catch by, I can't remember if it was Noah Rogers. I can't remember who caught it, but it was a great catch in the back of the end zone. He got his knee down. But other than that, couldn't do anything. So that was I think that game was really annoying, which is why I'm going to cross out my bingo card of I go to a game and I'm not enjoying it. So I crossed that one off because that was just so annoying. Yeah. I feel like they didn't run it enough either, but whatever. So now they play Georgia Tech, like you mentioned. They're next on Thursday. I'm worried about that game. That's been a game that since they started the year, they've looked like a team. Because, when we previewed the roster or the schedule, we were like, hey, we could win like 10 games. That was literally and it wasn't wrong to think that because our schedule was like,
it's just funny now.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was like, oh, dude, we can like totally, like it's totally possible.
It did look like a weaker schedule.
Yeah, and it was, I think it still is. We just aren't as good. And I think
agree.
CJ, obviously, the switch at quarterback, didn't help. But, I mean, that was taking into account losing to Tennessee and Clemson, And, I mean, the rest of the games, it was, we still lost at home to Wake Forest, at home to Syracuse. Like,
bad losses for
just
sure.
annoying, at home to Duke. And so our only road wins are is California by 1 point on a comeback. We had to come back in the fourth quarter and beat Cal, who is a bottom 4 ACC team.
Can I say something controversial?
What?
With Boo Corrigan pulling the trigger on the women's soccer coach.
Oh, I was going to...
You were going to say that?
I was going to... It was at the end of my notes. I was going to totally...
Okay.
We can skip to it, but sure.
Get through your Carolina preview and,
it was
and
quick,
then we'll talk about
but,
it.
But, I mean, I know where you're going. But, yeah, our only road win is Cal. But, like I said, by 1 point, they're a bottom ACC team, and it was CJ's best game for sure. But now we go on the road to Georgia Tech, who's... Honestly, they have a similar defense to Cal. Their defense is not very good, but their offense is so much better. So... in terms of at least having hope that CJ has a better game against Georgia Tech, I think you should have that. But for us winning, I don't know. We're literally 9-point underdogs.
I believe in Georgia Tech.
So
as a football team,
yeah,
not us.
They're coming off a win versus Miami, so maybe we get them while they're too high, and maybe they don't think about us and they look over. But they have better losses and better wins. Like all their losses are reasonable, all their wins are good. And if they win, it's not like winning, against Western Carolina while being tied most of the game, winning against Louisiana Tech at home while losing at halftime and getting destroyed. There was a point in that Louisiana Tech game where it was 17-3 earlier in the year. Like our losses are dominant losses to Tennessee and Clemson, a close loss that we should have won to Wake Forest and Syracuse, and then just straight up getting beat by Duke. So I think they'll win that, which, has us at a losing record. Which I can't remember the last time NC State at the very end of the year has had a losing record. Like it's not been, yeah. And obviously, if you can do math, we'd be 5-6, and you need 6 wins to win a bowl game or to make a bowl game. And the last game is at Carolina with bowl game on the line.
I don't give an F about the bowl game.
I get that. I think we can just go into it because I think that the team and Dave Dorn absolutely should, because if NC State loses to Carolina and finishes with 5 wins, one of the lowest, you can look it up. I can maybe look it up, one of us while we're talking. It would be one of, if not the lowest win total that Dave Dorn has had, let alone if anything was lower, it probably would have been him first being at NC State. When you're first at a program, you're lower. I mean, there would be a lot of talk, I think. I think there'd be a lot of talk. I'm not saying they would do it. I don't know, but I think we have to see how these games go. But if they beat Carolina, I think he's fine because they make a bowl game and they beat their rival, and you can say the C.J. Bailey quarterback excuse and everything, and you still were able to at least somewhat succeed and win a bowl game. But this year has been insanely disappointing. I mean, dude, they started off the year ranked. They were ranked in the low 20s, and they are not a very good team in the ACC for ACC standards. So we're going in most likely to a win the game, you make a bowl game, lose it, you're out, and you have a 5-win season, and it's against your biggest rival, who's also not having a good year, by the way. UNC is not having a great year, and they already secured a bowl game. They got 6 wins. And I think we're pretty even, to be honest. I think if I were to even just analyze the game, I would say if we're not favored, it would be because it's just a road game. I think we're relatively close, but I do think we are the better team. But again, with it being on the road, Carolina, I think would love to send NC State packing with 5 wins on the year and maybe their coach on the hot seat. Like they're not going to just be like, oh, whatever, we don't care about this game. Like they're going to be ready. So
especially after what we've done to them the past 3 years.
I mean, in football, in a lot of sports, we have obviously basketball, they've been good, but last year, we had that amazing run. And so we've been talking a lot of shit. NC State fans have with UNC. Last year, we sent their star quarterback who got picked number 3 overall, Drake May. We sent him packing. Peyton Wilson ended his season on a game-winning pick, and we beat him up at home, and that was a great win. But to get us obviously to a big Pop-Tart Bowl, but yeah,
we lost.
Yeah, we unfortunately lost. But this is a big game for Dave Dorn, I think.
I agree. I did pull up his stats. So he was hired in December of 2012. So it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long enough for him to have established a program and a reputation
Absolutely.
as a solid coach. Now, 2013 was his first season here. 3-9 season.
Expected.
Everything else outside of an outlier 2019 season where they finished 4-8 has been 7 wins or higher. So, yeah, this is definitely like
one of the worst years he's ever had. Yeah.
And I think the issue with it is that he's been given all the resources to have a successful season. Like multiple years in a row now.
I think I don't want to. Okay. I agree, because you're coming off of having the player of the year and making a big bowl game, having KC, who's like looked at as, oh my gosh, like this guy can be a top 5 receiver in the country, and he's a freshman. And obviously you lose Peyton Wilson, but that only makes your program look better. So ideally, you should have more players that want to go there.
Which I think happened.
We did. We had so that's why I think it's a coaching thing, because it was set up to succeed, and the offense totally did. And defense, you say, okay, we're going to build internally, and these guys are going to get better. And a lot of them, to be honest, didn't. And the offense, obviously, Grayson McCall, it sucks. You have that situation going. That's the only thing I think he can really fall back on, is that.
Well, same thing last year, too.
Yeah, that's but you can't. That's what I was
but
about
why
to say.
even do that?
I was about to say that. You can't use it as an excuse, because you look at last year. You went through different quarterbacks and were able to succeed, and you found a way to do it. And this year, I think it's better than last year's situation, because CJ was able to get more adjusted than going back and forth between MJ and Brennan, because it's not like Brennan had a concussion where he literally couldn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I think it was more set up this year for them to actually have success. And I think it's going to be a thing of, you're either going to see both the coordinators gone, or maybe did Doran gone and they get rid of obviously the coordinators. But I mean, in terms of who the fall guy is, it's either going to be the coordinators and that's it, or Dave Doran brings everyone and they go. If they lose to Carolina, I think if they win the Carolina, he's safe.
Mhm.
But if they lose to Carolina, I mean, I don't know what happened in that 2019 year. I think they had some kind of injury or something. I can't remember. But did they have Devin Leary that year? Was he playing?
2019?
Yeah.
His last year here was 22, so I don't think so. 2019, I was a junior in high school, so I'm going to be honest with you, I was not following NC State at that moment in time. I was watching a lot of NBA basketball, though.
Yeah.
Toronto Raptors, 2019 NBA champions.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is true.
That's kind of my peak moment there.
No, they had just a low-tier roster, it seems like. I know they obviously, I think they did have injuries that occurred, but seems like their schedule was a little harder. They played Wake Forest, Clemson, who were both ranked. They had road games, but still very, disappointing. But, I mean, if you still have the list pulled up, what did they do after that in terms of after a down year in the middle of what you think should be good? Which also, tell me what the record was before 2019 and then after.
So I'll go through it. First, was 2019 the year Kareem Hunt kicked that lady in the face? I was just thinking about that.
Why is that? I may have been 2018. I can't remember what. I think he was.
I don't know, man. He was
I think
so
he broke
good.
out 2017 and then
He
2018.
was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks. It sucks for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, obviously.
Hey, at least he got to come back.
Yeah, he's back now. Yep.
Anyways, 2013, 3-9, as I said. 2014, 8-5. Okay, so we get a little bit better there. 2015, 7-6, a little bit of regression. Okay. 2016, did I just say 2016?
No.
7-6, 2016.
Oh yeah, yeah.
2017, 9-4, good season. 2017. 2018, 9-4. Okay. 2019
was the down year. Yeah.
That was a down year. We're 4-8. 2020, 8-4. Okay, so that's another 8-win season. 21, that was the good year.
Mm-hmm.
That was our freshman year of college.
Yeah.
9-3. 2022, Devin Leary's back. They're gonna be good. 8-5. Leary gets hurt. He wasn't playing good before that, anyways. 23, last year, 9-4. A lot of weird stuff happened, but they finished strong. But I think the big thing is just having a strong roster that can win the tough games. And I think I know both you and I watch a lot of NFL football, and you see that and the best example I can think of here is Jim Harbaugh, because you watch those games the Chargers, right? They call it chargering. When you lose those close games, you blow that lead against the Jaguars in the
Bills
playoffs.
4 years in a row in the Super Bowl.
Something like that. And I think you just have to have a strong presence on the sidelines to win those games. And, you can pull the stats up on Dave Doran against ranked opponents, and it is it's both shocking and not shocking because, the record's horrible.
Yeah.
Him and his staff have not gotten the job done against the tough teams. And with the way college football's going, I don't foresee it getting any easier. And it's a time right now where NC State really has to show its worth in the sports that it's good at, or else they're probably not going to be around just because of the way the legal things are going. And so it's just really disappointing because that's such a huge sport. And I don't want NC State to be reduced to a cross-country school. No offense to
no
cross
way that would
country.
happen. There's no way. But I think just in terms of being relevant,
you got to bring someone in that can get the job done.
Okay, so let's say in the hypothetical, because if they beat Carolina, I don't think he's gone. I say not. I don't think so, because
I'm sick of
because he can fall back on this 2019 year where you came off of a 9-win season, which I guess that's his specialty, 8 wins. You have a down year, and then he brings it back up to 9. So he can fall back on this 2019 year.
Well, even if they make the college football playoffs, they're going to get bodied in the first round.
I know. I'm just saying in terms of sometimes if relevancy is enough for some people up top, sometimes it's the case. And so you build a relationship, and sometimes they have to make you kick them out. If you have such a relationship with them, sometimes it's very hard. And I think with Dave Doran being more of a player's coach, I think it'd be obviously you wouldn't have, like I said, soccer players anonymously coming to you saying, "Yeah, I'm glad this person's gone." Like if that was the case, I think it'd be easier to get rid of him. But I think he can fall back on this 2019 year where he was 4-8, and then after that and before that had 9-win seasons. If they beat Carolina, I don't think he's gone. No way. If they lose, I think the odds are higher, and I wouldn't be surprised. But to be honest, I feel like it'd be more likely that he's not, because I think there's a lot of stuff that he can say and that they can say, and I think you'd really have to be like, you're down here, like bottom of the barrel this, for them to be like moving on. Or I would say if they have another season like this, he's gone, because I don't think he's had back-to-back years where it's been under, 6 wins or whatever, besides his first 2 years here. So if he has back-to-back years like this, I do think he's gone. And I think you mentioned all the big games and stuff. Like, it's weird because I'm not talking about him, but when, you've interviewed him, I've interviewed him, stuff, he's a hard ass. That's just what he is. He's a hard ass coach, and he doesn't give a F sometimes, and you obviously can tell that in media. Obviously last year with that, Steve Smith clip, like he doesn't care. When I watch the games, I feel like I don't see that. How many times, I just go ahead and I want people to watch. I'm sure there'll be clips of him being fired up, this or that. He seems so complacent sometimes on the sidelines. I feel like I don't see a lot. And then he goes after the game and, he's not yelling at you, but he's giving you, hard-ass comments or whatever, responding accordingly how he feels is best in terms of, like, just more strict, I'd say, with what he responds with. Sometimes it depends on his mood, like any person, but he's more like that than other guys. And I feel like on the field, it almost doesn't feel the same. Like
they don't. Well, they say like the players are a reflection of the coach's attitude.
Yeah,
right.
But it almost feels. I mean, there was literally a thing where I asked a question about the Louisiana Tech comeback, and we brought up, oh, what was the thing? And everyone said the players just led everything. Like Dave Doran just had the play, which can be good. But I'm almost like, okay, well, if I'm analyzing my coach, what if he doesn't have the players in place that can galvanize guys and lead them? Like, what if you got to do that then? So I'm like, even just little stuff like that, I'm like, I feel like it's almost a point where the way he is, it's almost worse when you're losing. Because it's like, obviously he does take accountability for certain stuff, but I feel like sometimes it's like, you're almost like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, come on, let's get this crap. Like, you don't get mad about this because it's literally, your team here. And I feel like, how many times in a season have you said like, oh, well, that was poor clock management, that was poor timeout usage? He does it all the time. So I feel like he's not what you think a Power 5 coach that's been with the program for over 12 years. In terms of just his logistics, his clock management, I feel like is always off. He can never win the big games, like you said. There's been good players that have come here. We're not devoid of talent. And I feel like this year, being a fan that's followed more and more, I'm like, this was such a huge fumble. The transfers that came in were great in terms of who we got. And some are better than we thought. Justin Jolie, he's so much better than we thought. But I'm like, KC has not been used enough in the right ways at all. And I'm just like, offensively, like I know they're building, but sometimes it's just like, what are we doing here? And if I were to bet, I don't think he's fired, unfortunately, this year. And no, because I think this is such a big thing. And I like the guy, but you got to produce. And I am going to be a little more harsh, just like you, because I let's have actual opinions here. Sometimes I don't do that. We've been the fine college for football. Like, yeah, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. We've been the solid, fine football conference or football team for the ACC.
Right.
I just want to see something like basketball. Basketball last year was so special, and we're so freaking lucky to have experienced that for men and women. People don't understand, like, when you go to a college like NC State, obviously it's a good college, less than 50% acceptance rate, high graduate rate, so much different stuff. It's huge. They have a lot of different stuff you can do. For sports, for the main football and basketball, they're not known as these powerhouses, like a Carolina basketball or Clemson football. They're obviously not known like that. They have their peaks and stuff, but that's not what they're known for. To experience that for basketball last year was amazing. And I feel like, and Kevin Keats was almost going to be fired. Like, actually.
Yeah.
Last year, if he lost the first, or maybe, I can't remember if it was the first or second, if he lost one of the first or second ACC tournament game, he was gone. I think if he lost the first ACC tournament game, he was done.
I agree. Can I say something?
Yeah, really quick. I just want to get I feel like I agree with you in terms of it's almost like you got to just cut it and be like, hey, I know you have stuff to your resume in terms of having 8-win, 9-win seasons. Someone has got to get to where we build it back down, or we tear it down to build it back up. And Kevin Keats was the risk, and it seems like he was a great coach for that team because he empowered his players, is a very nice guy, and it seemed like his stuff was finally put together and work with how deep his team was, and the players galvanized around that. And I feel like maybe at some point you got to cut it loose and be like, we got to find a guy that can get us to at least 10 freaking wins, because it's been too many 9 and 8 and 7 win seasons.
Yeah. I think you make a great point about the basketball thing, but the crappy part about football is that there just aren't enough games to find that rhythm, and then you don't have an ACC tournament in football where you can go on that sort of miracle Cinderella run, and then that doesn't propel you into the next round.
Yeah, true.
It's just college football is broken.
Which is why college basketball is so much better than college. I will die on that hill. College basketball is better than college football. I don't care. I love the NFL. NFL is my number one. College basketball is so close to number 2. So I totally agree. Totally agree.
It's the talent in college football.
If you're not an SEC big team fan or a fan of a team that occasionally makes a good run, like Oregon, Wisconsin, or Oregon, Washington last year, a few years obviously in between there, Michigan, it's almost like annoying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like college football.
The state of it is, yeah, I agree. I don't like it right now.
They are making changes to college football, the NCAA is, and honestly, the SEC and the Big Ten conferences, and the changes aren't going to be beneficial to the smaller schools.
I do think the college football playoff is.
The college football playoff is, and that rule is already implemented, but the pending stuff of
NIL, transfer portal stuff,
the conference realignment.
Yeah, conference realignment
is the big thing
as well. Yeah.
Right now it just feels like the ACC as a conference is playing catch up, and it's not. They're just not going to.
Yeah, if you were to, we're getting a lot off topic, but I don't think it matters. But if you were to look at the conferences, okay, what's the next big Power 5 conference to crumble? It's the ACC. It's the ACC. I mean, look at football. Obviously runs it. Basketball is not too far behind. Look at it. I mean, basketball, we luckily save ourselves because we produce in the tournament a lot. But who are basketball, you have the 2 consistent, amazing teams of Duke and Carolina,
Yeah.
With basketball even, it's almost been like on any given year, there's only like 2 or 3 other ACC teams that even make the tournament. And other teams like the SEC are getting much better at basketball. Big Ten is obviously great at basketball. Big 12 is the king right now in basketball. And in football, which runs it, the Big 12 is not as strong, but they have way more schools, I think, that are just relevant in that stuff. And the SEC, obviously, with the Big Ten, run college football. There's only going to be one ACC team in the college football playoff. There are 12 spots.
And they're going to lose in the first round.
There's 11 spots for Power 5 schools. 1 spot is reserved, so 12 spots. You get the conference champion guaranteed. There's not another ACC team unless you win the ACC that's going to make it. It's Miami, SMU, or Clemson. One of those teams is going to make it, and no one else will.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if Miami makes it, they're fun, they're interesting. They're not beating a good SEC team.
And that sucks.
SMU is getting destroyed, and Clemson is fine and solid. They might win a tournament game because I think they're a better, well-rounded roster than Miami, but they're also not going to go very far. So, again, like you're saying, it is worrisome for the ACC because if there is one school to fall down, it'd be them. Because, I mean, you look at the West Coast teams that they got, Stanford, Cal, SMU.
Those additions don't strengthen the conference.
Even what we have, I mean, I feel like we're almost...
In football.
Yeah, I feel like we're almost more focused on academics than stuff, which is not bad. But for a sports podcast, which is what we are, and focusing on sports and everything, looking at Boston College and other stuff like that, of like these are the teams that are like predominantly in the ACC, and it's kind of like, you know,
Syracuse, Boston College.
Syracuse. Like, what do we?
Yeah,
it's hard to compete. It's really, I mean, it's really, really hard to compete, and you don't have those. I mean, there are prestigious colleges that are academically exclusive that are good, but they don't have the fan base. I mean, two teams that are up north, compare Penn State to Boston College. Like, it's not even a question. It's not even close. So, you know, I also agree with you. I worry a little bit about the state of the ACC and all that. And, you know, we
where
obviously...
NC State lies within that, too.
Yeah, we do. And, you know...
It sucks for players like Cam Ward, you know, like, who are real NFL talent.
Yeah, Miami quarterback.
But it's just, I mean, no chance of winning a national championship. And same thing for, I mean, Florida State's a little different from last year, but, I mean, still, like, they didn't have a chance.
They are the biggest collapse of any football team in the past, like, 5 years. Florida State.
Mm-hmm. Even last year.
And again, I don't want to say ACC can't win it in general. Clemson has obviously had title, you know, they had great runs, and they were getting Trevor Lawrence to, you know, be there and everything. But, you know, did they sustain like Georgia and Bama? People thought they would. No. I mean, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and then you have one bad thing with DJ Uiagalelei, and then boom, you're back down.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be back up, I think, but are they going to, you know, I think if you told me Clemson was in the title game in the next 4 years, I could believe you. But are they going to be in the hunt for the title game for the next 20 years? I don't know, and I don't think so.
Best high school players are going to Alabama, LSU, and Georgia.
And you brought up KC. His brother just decommitted from NC State.
Yep.
Casey Concepcion's brother, a 3-star, decommitted from NC State after he had a picture of him, obviously with all the gear and everything. I think you're going to be right. KC might be gone. And
if I was him, I would leave.
And bring his junior season, or if he stays, maybe his senior year, to an SEC or a Big Ten school. I think he's going to do that too. I just never thought of it. But when you bring it up, I'm like, yeah. And his brother just decommitted.
Think about realistically, like, he probably wants to play in the NFL. And, I mean, they'll find you, right? The NFL will find you. But to boost his draft stock, and honestly, if he can't make it to the next level, he's going to make more money as a college player.
And the thing is, the reason he would do, again, obviously, college people from NC State have made the NFL. But just look at Peyton Wilson last year. It was his first full healthy year. He wasn't this dog that was there for 5 years. It was his first full healthy. He was a fifth year, and it was his first full healthy year at NC State. You know, like, that's what that was. Like, and I mean, Russell Wilson literally transferred.
Well, that was a different time.
It was, but I'm still saying, like, even just if you think about guys, like, the main NC State guys you think of, Aleem McNeil from the Lions, offensive linemen like Joe Tooney and stuff, B.J. Hill. These are offensive and defensive linemen. It's not like you're there for being a star for 5 years. You got to develop. And normally those guys don't leave and stuff and have anything like quarterbacks and receivers and those kind of guys. So that's why. But it's because, you know, KC broke as a freshman, and the expectations are there. And so if they're not met immediately, you could fall off the draft board pretty quickly. Like, it can only take 1 year from be a projected first-round pick to a seventh-round pick. Like, so I agree. I think he's really got to get it. But we've talked about so much with, sorry for horrible downer
Well,
talk about it, but I think it's real. I think it's real that
it
the
is.
ACC. I mean, we started off with football, but football runs a lot of stuff, and I think when we're talking about football, I personally would maybe, depending on how these games go, see what other options are. I think if he, again, just a quick wrap up, I think if Doran loses Carolina, he's gone, and I would have him gone. If he beats Carolina, I think he'll stay, and I would be 50-50 in terms of what I would do, maybe depending on how the game is. And I think in the end, maybe it'd be slightly towards him staying, because maybe I'd honestly want to see what they do in the bowl game, because I'm like, hey, can we give something? Can we just do like something to leave with? And if he has a year next year that's under 500, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
If he has another under 500 year, maybe he proves us wrong, and I'm not saying he won't do this and has a 8-win season or something, but even then, it's like, what are you going to get for the next 2 years? 2 more 8-win, another 9-win, another 7-win, and then back down to 4, and then back up to 9. Like, I feel like, I mean, look at Washington. Washington sucks at football right now. Do you know how much they're going to be living off of that title game appearance with the great coach that they took a risk on, who was a young guy from Fresno State? He was 1 or 2 years at Fresno State and got him into Washington, who was a lower tier in the Pac-12, obviously now in the Big Ten, and they made the college football playoff and made it to the title game. And now they're nothing. And it's like, well, guess what?
You ride that.
I would totally trade that in. It's almost like like you said, we just brought up, you could even do a would you rather here. I would rather be Washington than Carolina, than NC State.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have that 1 year where we had these guys in the NFL that we can look at because he got good recruiting and good transfers, and this coach that he has moved on but had an amazing year, and we did so much, than 9 straight years of like, yeah, you're solid.
Prolonged mediocrity.
Yeah, like
that's what it is.
And I don't want to say mediocrity because they're making bowl games. 9 wins is not mediocre, but it's fine. It's good. It's just not. You're not going to make the college football playoff in the ACC with 9 wins.
Nope.
Unless you win the ACC. And if you win the ACC with 9 wins, you better be the biggest comeback story because your team was all injured in the first half and healthy in the second half, and that's why you're a 9-win team. Like, so that's why we combine it with football and state of NC State with the ACC and how it's all going, and we just really got to hope that maybe something occurs. But Georgia Tech, like we said, I think that's a loss. But look at that Carolina game because I think it'll tell a lot, and I would definitely be crossing your fingers. I mean, maybe you want him fired. I don't know, but I think for the sake of NC State's program, it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens there. But even if he loses, it might not make a difference because he might just not be gone. But I think next year, if we're looking at big picture for Dave Doran, is almost a seats getting kind of hot year.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
definitely share that opinion, the harsh opinion that we were gonna call it.
Yeah.
I was just thinking while we were talking, there are three big things for me that kind of opened my eyes. First of all, the time that I have been here, NC State football has not been super exciting to watch. Just like the offense isn't super explosive.
Yeah.
So it's not. It at times can be boring, and I think
which is that
kind of sucks.
He's been known to be a defensive,
guy. I mean, that's the fewer of the 3 reasons.
Yeah.
Eye opener was when they played Tennessee. Can't compete with the SEC,
which is crazy because I knew that was going to happen. But I was like, okay, it'll be 35-10, and it was 51-10.
It was bad.
I was like, okay, well that's not good. And your eye opener was Tennessee. My eye opener was going to watch Western Carolina and Louisiana Tech, and us not even beating. And I'm like, what the heck? And that was all in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember what the third reason was.
just because.
Just because. No. Yeah. I don't know.
And I mean,
there's something else that happened this year that I'm just like.
And I mean, it's not that they haven't been interesting. It's just like last year, it was really fun in terms of like the end of us surprisingly beating all these teams. We beat Miami, we beat Carolina at the end of the year, and I'm like, how are we doing this with our quarterback that hasn't been amazing, but he's been fine, and we have an emerging star in KC, and that was really good. But this year, it totally brought it down, and I think we're definitely going to be one of those teams or schools that are going to be hanging on to that run Final Four run for a while, and I think it'll be good for the it'll be fine for the next 2 years or so. Like, oh my gosh, we recently had this game, but then all the players from that team will eventually be gone. There'll be no one that would be left from that team, and then you're gonna be like, okay, what are we looking at next? Like, what big sport are we looking at now? And I'm not trying to offend the other sports. I'm just saying, the reason people moved conferences was because of football. And I hate that because I think it affects basketball a lot. And I love basketball for college, but football makes the money, and it affects a lot of that stuff. And so while soccer and cross country may be doing great, and that's awesome, and locally you love that, the grand scheme of things, the two main stuff that kind of run it, and even more so, is football. And so at some point you got to look like, okay, what does the future look like, and what are we looking at here? And I just think, when you bring up Dave Doran, I don't know. We got to see, but he's not in an amazing spot right now.
Yeah. I remember the third thing.
What?
Just the way that the players have talked about the soccer coaches. I mean, even though that has nothing to do with it, it's still an eye-opener. Like, I wonder how the players really feel. And then you see, like, the athletic department making these decisions, and it's like, yeah, that's like within the realm of possibility. And so that does make me, that's my third reason of why, like, you can move on and you can find something better. Like, the grass is not always greener, but in some cases it is. And eventually.
If I'm, again.
You just see it with Mark Hubbard.
Yeah. Easy.
That's the perfect example of,
for
like,
soccer.
I mean, I'm sure it gives Boo Corrigan the confidence to be like, you know what? I can make moves and be successful.
Yeah. Again, Dave is a cool guy. We've talked with him. I had a funny interaction with him that was really cool, and I'll remember forever. But I think, looking objectively, I think I would rather them move on, go take another hit, miss, and then maybe we're finally getting something that's greater than what we have in 10 years, than continue what we're doing now for the next 10 years. Because I feel like you said, since 2012, that's enough time.
I agree.
That's enough time. And I feel like the big games just have not been able to win. Have not been able to do it.
Things are changing outside of NC State. I think it's time to make some changes within.
Again,
yeah.
I don't think we'll.
I know you.
I don't think it'll happen, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. It would have to be next year, my guess. But you never know. You never know. If we lose Carolina, then that's a big one.
Yeah. We'll go over the winter sports really quick.
Yeah. When this episode's over, I'm running out the door, and you will be editing it, unfortunately. Yes. Sorry about that.
All good. Yeah, so men's basketball is undefeated, and we're playing Purdue over Thanksgiving. That's about as brief as I can make it.
Yeah, I don't love that. Purdue is very, they're not as good as last year, obviously, but they're good. All our wins have not been much. Coastal Carolina, Colgate, been fine. We are not losing to them, which is good.
As to be expected.
Yeah, nothing crazy here. Purdue is the Rays, the Randy or Rady? Is it what?
I didn't.
Maybe I spelt it wrong. We'll just say the Children's Invitational, which doesn't sound good, but whatever. I'm not sure why. It's obviously something they're raising money for, but it's kind of like the Maui Invitational, like an in-season tournament kind of thing. And we start off with Purdue. There are a few other teams in there. Maybe we beat Purdue. Who knows? I don't think so. But Purdue is not a good defensive team. So at least in the Power 5 scheme. So if we can maybe just stop their guards, then it'd be good. If we played this Purdue team, end off the episode with a funny, positive hypothetical. If last year's NC State team played this year's Purdue team, we win.
Yeah.
Because Purdue's inside is so much worse. Defensively, they're so much worse, and DJ Burns would be able to eat. Diarra would hopefully not be shooting 5-corner threes and would just be in the paint. And I think it'd be a good offensive matchup, but I think with our guards, we'd be able to go back and forth, but put that in perspective. While NC State's team, obviously, when you look at the analytics, they didn't finish like crazy high or anything because of the regular season. And even during the tournament, it's not like they were this dominant, efficient team. Like, they just grinded out, got it done. That team would beat this team by a few points. 2 possessions, let's say. So, but we'll see how we do.
Yeah. It says Rady. R-A-D-Y.
Yeah, Rady?
Rady.
The Rady Children's Invitational? I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, women's basketball. They have 2 losses on the season, both to good teams.
Yep. Don't lose hope.
That's just the beginning of the schedule. TCU and South Carolina.
TCU, doesn't they have that transfer? What's her name?
Van Lith.
Yeah.
Yeah, she played at Louisville for 3 years, LSU last year, and now at TCU. One of the better players in women's college basketball over the past few years. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't watch that game, but TCU.
It was only by 3 points, so one possession.
Though I think you run it back. NC State wins that game probably.
Yeah. Ideally.
They also have a Thanksgiving tournament, which I think is a cool tradition that college basketball has, by the way. It's called the Pink Flamingo Tournament. So, yeah, usually they go to, like, the Caribbean and, like, just play basketball.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid watching the stuff in the air, playing UNC versus Michigan State on an aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's so
cool. College basketball is in the just... Yeah, I wish it wasn't affected by football.
I know. I don't
much.
care if you football lovers. I love football. NFL is my number one. That's my first sport. College basketball is better. I don't care. It's better than college football.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close.
Definitely.
I mean, close enough, but I don't think it's close.
So, gymnastics doesn't have anything until December. Skip over that.
Nothing.
Wrestling started already.
Early, though.
Yeah, so they beat Campbell, and have at Princeton, and then it doesn't get good until they have Rutgers. They're ranked number 17, so that'll be something to look out for. And then swimming and diving, they've also started their season. They've already matched up against Arizona State and Georgia, and they have their first technically their first home meet is in Greensboro, on the 21st. So those are the winter sports. That's all I have for that. We already talked about Casey's brother. So, yeah, I mean, the only other note I have here is that we're finalists for an award.
We can quickly go over this. I have no time. But, yeah, we got nominated for, it was the International Students Broadcasting Association or something. And we checked online and, literally got tagged, and we were in the nominations. I don't know if we're going to win. I really don't know the details. We didn't get a lot of details, to be honest.
I didn't know we were nominated.
Me
to
neither.
Begin with.
We literally only found out because our account got tagged and on Instagram. So that's how we found out. But as Griffin said, and I agree, it'll be something we can put on our resumes. Light It Red, a award-nominated podcast, student-run podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we're being judged by a panel. So
well, we'll see how
that
they
makes
like
me
this
nervous.
one.
But yeah, that's cool that happened. And I think it's a fitting way to end it,
Oh yeah, totally. Not previewing anything, but we'll talk to you guys next episode. We'll say that.
What do you mean?
Next episode.
I don't. Well, yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know. If there's not another episode, which I'm not sure about right now, but
we'll see.
I'm graduating in a few weeks, so for the people that have been listening the whole time, I started this my sophomore year. I appreciate it. I never felt like I was a huge talker. I've always been more of a quiet guy, but when this opportunity came about, I just felt like this would be the best way for me to, express my thoughts, because I like to write, but this is a whole different opportunity, and I just, it started off a little rocky, and I just want to thank you, because you kind of came out of nowhere, but, I learned so much about job interviews from you when you interviewed for that position, because it was such a nothing interview, like it didn't even matter, but you had just done just a little bit of research on what my podcast was at the time, and you came in, and I was like, I have to have this guy on here, and so it worked out really well. And
I agree. I think it worked out.
You stuck around, and now I'm really appreciative that I got a friend out of it, and it's just been a great experience that I'll always take with me. This has been my college experience. I didn't rush a frat. I didn't.
Yeah, I did not want to do that either.
Didn't go here freshman year to make all the friends in the dorms. This is what I had.
Yeah, this is a big thing you can take away.
So yeah, no, I really appreciate you, and and the people that, helped us out along the way.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
you have anything you want to say before we end it?
Yeah. This is great. I've loved this. Awesome. We'll see if we have another one. I don't know. I do want to, but depends on your schedule or whatever. We'll work that out. Just because we would have had football season would have ended, so we'd have the games finishing. But
we have Thanksgiving and then finals.
Yeah, it'd be probably somewhere in between that finals period if we do. But you'll see if you do. But for the future, we'll see. Let's just say that we'll see. He's graduating, so obviously that won't be a thing for the next semester. I can guarantee that. Whether there'll be another episode in terms of one more this semester, not sure. There will for sure not be one in the spring because we are moving on in terms of he's graduating. I got 1 year left doing a lot of stuff. But TBD. Keep this podcast on your liked because maybe in the future you might see something. We'll see. Or maybe something different because I think we both like doing this and we like to keep up with NC State sports.
We'll work something out in the future. But yeah, we'll take a hiatus, focus on some other things. But yeah, no, it's been fun. So yeah, this has been Light It Red. Music in this podcast was Jonas Hipper's King of Sports and Vibe and Sneaky, licensed under Creative Commons from the Free Music Archive.